Namo Bhagavate Sri Arvindaya. Book 3. The Book of the Divine Mother. Canto 1. The Pursuit of the Unknowable. All is too little that the world can give. Its power and knowledge are the gifts of time and cannot fill the spirit's sacred thirst. Although of one these forms of greatness are, and by its breath of grace our lives abide, although more near to us than nearness itself, it is some utter truth of what we are. Hidden by its own works, it seemed far off, impenetrable, occult, voiceless, obscure. The presence was lost by which all things have charm, the glory lacked of which they are dim signs. The world lived on, made empty of its cause, like love when the beloved's face is gone. The labor to know seemed a vain strife of mind. All knowledge ended in the unknowable. The effort to rule seemed a vain pride of will, a trivial achievement scorned by time. All power retired into the omnipotent. A cave of darkness guards the eternal light. A silence settled on his striving heart. Absolved from the voices of the world's desire, he turned to the ineffable's timeless call.
A being intimate and unnameable, a wide compelling ecstasy and peace, felt in himself and all and yet ungrasped, approached and faded from his soul's pursuit, as if forever luring him beyond. Near it retreated, far it called him still. Nothing could satisfy but its delight. Its absence left the greatest actions dull. Its presence made the smallest scene divine. When it was there, the heart's abyss was filled. But when the uplifting deity withdrew, existence lost its aim in the inane, the order of the immemorial planes. The godlike fullness of the instruments were turned to props for an impermanent scene.
But who that mightiness was he knew not yet, impalpable yet filling all that is. It made and blotted out a million worlds, and took and lost 1,000 shapes and names.
It wore the guise of an indiscernible vast, or was a subtle kennel in the soul. A distant greatness left it huge and dim. A mystic closeness shut it sweetly in. It seemed sometimes a figment or a robe, and seemed sometimes his own colossal shade. A giant doubt overshadowed his advance. Across a neutral all-supporting void, whose blankness nursed his lone immortal spirit, allured towards some recondite supreme, aided, coerced by enigmatic powers, aspiring and half-sinking and unborn. Invincibly he ascended without pause.
Always a signless vague immensity brooded without approach beyond response, condemning finite things to nothing less, fronting him with the incommensurable. Then to the ascent there came a mighty term.
A height was reached where nothing made could live, a line where every hope and search must cease. Neared some intolerant bare reality, a zero form pregnant with boundless change. on a dizzy verge where all disguises fail, and human mind must abdicate in light, or die like a moth in the naked blaze of truth, he stood compelled to a tremendous choice.
All he had been and all towards which he grew must now be left behind, or else transformed into a self of that which has no name, alone and fronting an intangible force, which offered nothing to the grasp of thought. His spirit faced the adventure of the inane.
Abandoned by the worlds of form he strove. A fruitful, worldwide ignorance founded here. Thought's long, far-circling journey touched its close. An ineffective pause, the actor will.
The simple modes of being helped no more. The structures nescience builds, collapsing, failed. And even the spirit that holds the universe fainted in luminous insufficiency.
In an abysmal lapse of all things built, transcending every perishable support, and joining at last its mighty origin, the separate self must melt or be reborn into a truth beyond the mind's appeal.
All glory of outline, sweetness of harmony, rejected like a grace of trivial notes, expunged from being silence, nude or sheer, died into a fine and blissful nothingness.
The demiurges lost their names and forms, the great schemed worlds that they had planned and wrought passed, taken and abolished one by one.
The universe removed its colored veil, and at the unimaginable end of the huge riddle of created things appeared the far-seen Godhead of the whole, his feet firm based on life's stupendous wings, omnipotent, a lonely seer of time, inward, inscrutable, with diamond gaze.
Attracted by the unfathomable record, the unsolved slow cycles to their form returned, to rise again from that invisible sea. All from his pursuance born was now undone. Nothing remained, the cosmic mind conceives.
Eternity prepared to fade and sink. A whole imposition on the void. Space was the fluttering of a dream that sank before its ending into nothing's deeps. The spirit that dies not, and the Godhead's self seemed myths projected from the unknowable. From it all sprang, in it is called to cease.
But what that was, no thought nor sight could tell. Only a formless form of self was left, a tenuous ghost of something that had been, the last experience of a lapsing wave, before it sinks into a boundless sea, as if it kept even on the brink of night its bare feeling of the ocean whence it came.
A vastness brooded free from sense of space, an everlastingness cut off from time, a strange, sublime, inalterable peace, silent, rejected from it, world and soul.
A stark, companionless reality answered at last to his soul's passionate search. Passionless, wordless, absorbed in its phantomless hush, keeping the mystery none would ever pierce. It brooded inscrutable and intangible, facing him with its dumb, tremendous calm.
It had no kinship with the universe. There was no act, no movement in its vast. Life's question, met by its silence, died on her lips. The world's effort ceased connected of ignorance, finding no sanction of supernal light. There was no mind there with its need to know. There was no heart there with its need to love.
All person perish in its namelessness. There was no second, it had no partner or peer. Only itself was real to itself. A pure existence, safe from thought and mood. A consciousness of unshared immortal bliss. It dwelt aloof in its bare infinite, one and unique, unutterably soul. A being formless, featureless and mute, that knew itself by its own timeless self, aware forever in its motionless depths, uncreating, uncreated and unborn, the one by whom all live, who lives by none, an immeasurable, luminous secrecy, guarded by the veils of the unmanifest, above the changing cosmic interlude, abode supreme, immutably the same, the silent cause occult, impenetrable, infinite, eternal, unthinkable, alone. End of Canto 1.
Book 3rd, Book of Divine Mother. Canto 2, The Adoration of the Divine Mother. A stillness absolute, incommunicable, meets the sheer self-discovery of the soul. A wall of stillness sits from the world, a gulf of stillness swallows up the sense and makes unreal all that mind has known. All that the laboring senses still would weave, prolonging an imagined unreality, self's vast spiritual silence occupies space. Only the inconceivable is left. Only the nameless without space and time. Abolished is the burdening need of life. Thought falls from us, which is from joy and grief. The ego is dead. We are freed from being and care. We have done with birth and death and work and fate. O soul, it is too early to rejoice. Thou hast reached the boundless silence of the self. Thou hast leaped into a glad divine abyss. But where hast thou thrown self's mission and self's power? On what dead bank on the eternal's road? One was within thee, who was self and world. What hast thou done for his purpose in the stars? Escape brings not the victory and the crown. Something thou comest to do from the unknown. But nothing is finished and the world goes on, because only half God's cosmic work is done.
Only the everlasting no has neared and stared into thy eyes and killed thy heart. But where is the lover's everlasting yes, and immortality in the secret heart, the voice that chants to the Creator fire, the symboled Om, the great ascending word. The bridge between the rapture and the calm, the passion and the beauty of the bride, the chamber where the glorious enemies kiss, the smile that saves, the golden peak of things. This too is truth at the mystic fount of life. A black veil has been lifted. We have seen the mighty shadow of the omniscient Lord. But who has lifted up the veil of light, and who has seen the body of the King? The mystery of God's birth and acts remains, leaving unbroken the lost chapter's seal, unsolved the riddle of the unfinished play. The cosmic player laughs within his mask, and still the lost inviolate secret hides behind the human glory of a form, behind the gold eidolon of a name.
A large white line has figured as a goal, but far beyond the ineffable sun track's blaze, what seemed the source and end was a wide gate, a last bare step into eternity. An eye has opened upon timelessness. Infinity takes back the forms it gave, and through God's darkness or His naked light, His million rays return into the sun.
There is a zero sign of the Supreme. Nature left nude and still uncovers God. But in her grandeurs, nothingness all is there. When her strong garbs are torn away from us, the soul's ignorance is slain, but not the soul. The zero covers an immortal face.
A high and blank negation is not all. A huge extinction is not God's last word. Life's ultimate sense, the close of being's course, the meaning of this great mysterious world. In absolute silence sleeps an absolute power.
Awaking, it can wake the trance-bound soul.
And in the ray reveal the parent sun. It can make the world a vessel of spirit's force. It can fashion in the clay God's perfect shape. To free the self is but one radiant pace. Here to fulfill himself was God's desire.
Even while he stood on being's naked edge, and all the passion and seeking of his soul faced their extinction in some pictureless vast, the presence he yearned for suddenly drew close.
Across the silence of the ultimate calm, out of a marvelous transcendence course, a body of wonder and translucency, as if a sweet mystic summary of herself, escaping into the original bliss, had come enlarged out of eternity. Someone came infinite and absolute, a being of wisdom, power and delight. Even as a mother draws her child to her arms, took to her breast nature and world and soul.
Abolishing the signless emptiness, breaking the vacancy and voiceless hush, piercing the limitless unknowable, into the liberty of the motionless depths, a beautiful and felicious luster stole.
The power, the light, the bliss no word can speak, imaged itself in a surprising beam and built a golden passage to his heart, touching through him all longing sentient things. A moment's sweetness of the all-beautiful cancelled the vanity of the cosmic world.
A nature throbbing with a heart divine was felt in the unconscious universe. It made the breath a happy mystery.
A love that bore the cross of pain with joy,
eudaemonized the sorrow of the world, made happy the weight of long unending time, the secret court of God's felicity, of hymning in life a hidden ecstasy, it held the spirit to its miraculous course, carrying immortal values to the house. It justified the labor of the sons.
For one was there supreme behind the God. A mother might brooded upon the world. A consciousness revealed its marvelous front, transcending all that is, denying none, imperishable above our fallen heads. He felt a rapturous and unstumbling force.
The undying truth appeared, the enduring power of all that here is made and then destroyed, the mother of all godheads and all saints, who mediatrix binds earth to the supreme.
The enigma ceased that rules our nature's night. The covering nescience was unmasked and slain. Its mind of error was stripped off from things, and the dull moods of its perverting will.
Illumined by her all-seeing identity, knowledge and ignorance could strive no more. No longer could the titan opposites, antagonist poles of the world's artifice, impose the illusion of the twofold screen, throwing their figures between us and her.
The wisdom was near, disguised by its own works, of which the darkened universe is the robe. No more existing seemed an aimless fall. Extinction was no more the soul release.
The hidden word was found, the long-sought clue. Revealed was the meaning of our spirit's birth. Condemned to an imperfect body and mind, in the inconscience of material things, and the indignity of mortal life, a heart was felt in the spaces wide and bare. A burning love from white spiritual founts annulled the sorrow of the ignorant depths. Suffering was lost in her immortal smile.
A life from beyond grew conqueror hereafter. To err no more was natural to mind. Wrong could not come, where all was light and love. The formless and the formed were joined in her. Immensity was exceeded by a look, a face revealed, the crowded infinite.
Incarnating inexpressibly in her limbs, the boundless joy that blind world forces seek. Her body of a beauty mooned the seas of bliss. At the head she stands of birth and toil and fate. In their slow round the cycles turn to her call. Alone her hands can change time's dragon base.
Hers is the mystery the night conceals. The spirit's alchemist energy is hers. She is the golden bridge, the wonderful fire. The luminous heart of the unknown is she. A power of silence in the depths of God. She is the force, the inevitable word, the magnet of our difficult ascent, the sun from which we kindle all our suns, the light that leans from the unrealized wax.
The joy that beckons from the impossible, the might of all that never yet came down. All nature dumbly calls to her alone, to heal with her feet the aching throb of life, and break the seals on the dim soul of man and kindle her fire in the closed heart of things.
All here shall be one day her sweetness home, all contraries prepare her harmony. Towards her our knowledge climbs, our passion gropes, in a miraculous rapture we shall dwell. Her clap shall turn to ecstasy our pain.
Our self shall be one self with all through her, in her confirmed because transformed in her. Our life shall find in its fulfilled response above the boundless hushed beatitudes, below the wonder of the embrace divine.
This known as in a thunderflash of God, the rupture of things, eternal feel his limbs. Amazement fell upon his ravished sense. His spirit was caught in her intolerant flame.
Once seen, his heart acknowledged only her. Only a hunger of infinite bliss was left. All aims in her were lost. Then found in her, his base was gathered to one pointing spire.
This was a seed cast into endless time. A word is spoken or a light is shown. A moment sees the ages toil to express. So, flashing out of the timeless leaped the worlds. An eternal instant is the cause of the years.
All he had done was to prepare a field. His small beginnings asked for a mighty end. For all that he had been must now new shape. In him her joy to embody, to enshrine her beauty and greatness in his house of life. But now his being was too wide for self. His heart's demand had grown immeasurable. His single freedom could not satisfy. Her light, her bliss he asked for earth and men.
But vain are human power and human love to break earth's seal of ignorance and death. His natures might seem now an infant's grasp. Heaven is too high for outstretched hands to seize. This light comes taught by struggle or by thought. In the mind's silence the transcendent acts, and the hushed heart hears the unuttered word.
A vast surrender was his only strength, a power that lives upon the heights unstacked. Bring into life's closed room the immortal's air, and fill the infinite with the infinite.
All that denies must be torn out and slain, and crush the many longings for whose sake we lose the one for whom our lives were made. Now other claims had hushed in him their cry. Only he longed to draw her presence and power into his heart and mind and breathing frame. Only he yearned to call forever down her healing touch of love and truth and joy into the darkness of the suffering world. His soul was freed and given to her alone. End of Canto 2. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Arvindaya.
सर्वेश्वरी जगदीश्वरी सर्वेश्वरी जगदीश्वरी हे मातृरूप महेश्वरी
सर्वेश्वरी जगदीश्वरी सर्वेश्वरी जगदीश्वरी हे मातृरूप महेश्वरी
ममतामयी करुणामयी ममतामयी करुणामयी हे मातृरूप महेश्वरी
सर्वेश्वरी जगदीश्वरी सर्वेश्वरी जगदीश्वरी हे मातृरूप महेश्वरी
जगजीवनी संजीवनी समस्त जीवनेश्वरी
जगजीवनी संजीवनी समस्त जीवनेश्वरी
हे मातृरूप महेश्वरी सर्वेश्वरी जगदीश्वरी सर्वेश्वरी जगदीश्वरी हे मातृरूप महेश्वरी